This baby hits 88 miles per hour. You're gonna see some serious shit.
All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Take One Podcast, episode 42. Super excited for today's episode. Fresh off of our Scream 6 live show, which was absolutely phenomenal. So to everybody that watched, listened, participated, and comment, greatly appreciated that. And appreciate my guest today. I'm super excited to have Brettman on today from Good Real Hunting. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, man. Life has been treating me good, man. We've been getting some good movies, aka Scream 6. My friends are all doing awesome. So, man, there's nothing in the world I could complain about right now. And plus, I'm on this awesome Take One podcast, so I'm extremely excited today.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Super excited to have you. I've been listening to y'all's content for a while now. And listen, man, y'all put out, I'll say one of the coolest things outside of y'all putting out great content is y'all are super consistent. Like y'all are pumping out stuff left and right, which is a huge plus. And I know if this isn't like people's full-time jobs, like that's a super hard thing to do because I mean, let's be honest, it takes time to, cut that, record that, post it here, promote it here. A lot of time goes into that. What was it that kind of got you guys into doing Good Real Hunting?
What kind of got us into Good Real Hunting is pretty much me and Brad play a lot of Xbox, and we've talked about movies more than we actually play the game. So we actually suck at the game that we were playing because we were talking too much about movies, and we're just like, I wish we could just record us like talking and all that. And then that's when Brad was like, well, we could do YouTube. And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. So we pondered on it for a little bit because this was during the time where Brad was getting married to his wife and planning everything. Then it was his bachelor party where we got a couple of drinks in and all that. And then that's just when Good Real Hunting was born, really. Well, we didn't call it Good Real Hunting. We actually called it the B&B Movie Podcast. Awful name. And then we just suddenly come up, we mentioned Good Will Hunting, and we're like, Good Real Hunting? I'm like, we got a winner. And that's when Good Real Hunting was born.
Oh, I love that, dude. I gotta know, what was the game y'all were playing?
Oh man, it was Call of Duty, Friday the 13th game, any kind of game, and Rocket League, any game we could kind of get our hands on. But at the time, we were massive Call of Duty fans.
Have y'all always been like super close friends, or was this something that the gaming kind of got y'all together? How'd that work? Because I noticed y'all do all these skits, amazing, funny skits. I got to give y'all major props for that, man. Because I love when I see a new skit that y'all uploaded, and I'm just sitting there like I know I'm gonna have a blast, laughing my ass off. So have y'all always been pretty close?
Yeah, it's just like we weren't like we actually went to high school together and like intermediate and all that. We weren't really close then, but we just know each other. We just tend to our own business and all that. And if it was around college, sophomore year, he invited me out of the blue. It's like, hey, do you want to watch WrestleMania 26? And I'm like, well, I didn't know you were a wrestling fan. It's like, yeah, man, I've always been a wrestling fan. Come on over. And then one thing led to another, man. And yeah, we're just freaking best friends now. And he's a amazing best friend to have, man. He's such a hard worker. He's been an excellent husband to his wife and recently an excellent father to his child too. So he has just been absolutely phenomenal. And especially to me, because I'm what we call could be unstable at times. Like get mad at things quickly and he just tones me down. So he like if anybody to do this YouTube adventure with, Brad's that person to do it with, man. And I'm so blessed to have him as a best friend.
That's awesome, dude. I feel like y'all's connection is really good, and you can definitely see that in y'all's videos. And it's always good to have that other person that kind of outweighs the other, or kind of evens everything out. So that's absolutely awesome. Now, obviously, I
Oh,
got to,
trust me, 2 is better than 1. From my
yeah.
experience, like, when we tried to go solo, like, he tried to go solo the other day, he struggled a little bit, even though he did a phenomenal job too, but when I go solo, I know I'm like, "God, this is a lot harder to do by yourself and just having somebody to play off of." So,
Oh
again, that's
man.
why, like, if I suggest YouTubing to anybody, do it with your best friend, like, seriously, because it's just more fun that way.
No, man, that's great advice, and I totally agree with that. I remember when I first started the podcast, like, because I'm kind of newer to putting to YouTube and kind of putting all these videos on YouTube. I actually got talked into it. I just went strictly Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, just straight audio. Um, but I'll tell you, when I first started doing the podcast, I think my first 2 or 3 episodes, I did it solo, and it's literally one of the hardest things to do to keep a. I feel like to keep a conversation going with yourself, and not only that, but to make it intriguing for others to want to listen to one person for 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. It's literally one of the hardest things that anybody can do. So anytime I see anybody doing a solo podcast, like I give them major props because it is not easy at all.
Yeah, and same for solo YouTubing as well. When people go live and all that, like one of my kind of like inspirations of doing YouTube, I always give him credit. And that is Lee McCoy from Drum Dums.
Oh yeah.
Like, man, that dude, I don't know how he does. Like, he goes 2 hours live by himself, and I don't even like. That's such a hard task to do, and he makes it entertaining from beginning to end. So he was easily why he was a big inspiration. Why I wanted to do the YouTube side of things.
No, that's an amazing choice, man. There's definitely people that stick out for me. You know, he's a big stick out. Dave McCrae is another one. So
Oh, he's
there's
excellent.
yeah, there's a lot of people out there, man, that have a really good following, and like not even that, just like I think because the what I've learned so far with YouTube, and just talking to people that have YouTube pages and channels is it's literally not how many subscribers you have, it's the community that you build,
Hmm.
and like that's the most important thing. And I think you guys over at Good Real Hunting have one of the best communities ever, dude. And I have to give y'all major props for that, because it's always good seeing. We always, as YouTubers and content creators, we love getting new people over to our channel. Like that's what we love. That's what we do. But being able to see those new people come over and form that community, and faces that you recognize that show up to every live show or comment on every video, man, there's nothing better than to see that community return, because you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely, and and I appreciate that compliment, because honestly, that's what me and Brad strive for. That's what's our goal since day one. We wanted to create a community where anybody, and I'm telling you, anybody that could just come in. Like, we have an open door policy here on our community, aka, and also channel. It's an open door policy. You could come in and hang out and just leave all the BS of real life behind, just to talk movies for however long you want, and then you could easily make your way out. Again, that door is always open to our community. We are super proud of what we built. And it's just another thing I want to add on with the YouTubing. Like, y'all know you mentioned Dave McCrae and I mentioned Lee McCoy. But those are, I'm not trying to like make them feel old or anything. Those are like well established old channels, and they are excellent. They're still phenomenal. But
Mm.
I'm even more excited for the up and coming YouTube channels to, like, I wouldn't say passing the torch or anything like that. Trust me, we are not there yet. Trust me, nowhere near, because that's like another 10 years before I can even ask for a torch. But just like the YouTube community and the YouTubers that I work with, we're like a bright future, man. And I'm more excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would say it's funny because like growing up and hearing people or your parents or teachers in school, they're like, you got to be super careful on the internet. You don't want to talk to strangers because you never know what can happen. And let's be honest, that is 100% true. But
Mhm.
I'll be honest, in the past 2 years, man, I've met some of my best friends over the internet, whether that's YouTube, whether that is Instagram, and just really bonding and talking over movies. Like, I have a really close group set of friends that are here in my hometown that we've been friends since high school, but life kind of gets in the way with work, my friends have kids, they're married, so we don't get to hang out as much. But I know that I can have like this horror community that we've all kind of built, or not built, but are like are a part of. Like it's so cool, man. I can't tell you how many times, like I literally spend all day, I don't want to say all day on Instagram, but like throughout the day on Instagram, just talking to people, going back and forth about movies, and what we liked about this, what we liked about that, and are you going to this? Are you going to this con? Are you not going to this con? Did you check out this movie or this location video? Like, it's just super cool, man. It's just crazy the community that the horror community in general is. Like, it's a beautiful thing.
Dude, absolutely is spot on with everything you just said. Because I'm going to be honest with you, and I might get some flack for this. I had a horrible point of view on the horror community, just because I thought they were a certain like personality and had a certain look to them. And then when I dived more into the horror community, when I started this YouTube adventure, dude, I was so proven wrong. And the horror community are some of the most loyal, knowledgeable people I've ever met in my entire life. And it's been a blessing with the amount of people that I got to meet and who I get to call my best friends now. It's just, would have never thought that coming from the horror community. So I owe a lot to the horror community, and that's why I really want to in the future to try to give back to the horror community as much as I can, just because with how much it's given me personally.
I love that, man, and that's true. I mean, I can't tell you, like, before I did any content creating or anything like that on my own, like I wanted to, my way of getting away from, I guess, the real world, whether that's work or personal relationships, family, anything like that. I would just come home, either pop in a movie or go on YouTube and listen to see who uploaded the last video and see what film they're talking about, what ranking they're doing. It's a great way for people to get away from life, kind of like what you said, and kind of step away and enjoy talking movies for however long. So the more of us that there are, I can tell you, the more that the people who, whether don't want to create content or really just want to step away and listen to stuff, like it's important and it's really good.
Yeah, really good. And trust me when I say that real life is a lot more scarier than a horror movie is. Like horror movies can play on the ideas, but like trust me, there's nothing more scarier than real life. So again, that's why we wanted to create that escape before you have to go back into it. Because trust me, we all do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now I have to ask, what was the horror movie for you that kind of started it all? I gotta know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, "What is the movie that got me into the horror community?" Because I'll let you know, I hated horror movies. But best again, thanks to Brad. He tried to get me to watch horror movies. He tried to marathon the Paranormal Activity movies for me to get ready for Paranormal Activity 4, and I was having none of it. I hated it because another reason for the horror movies I wasn't a big fan of them because I was like, oh, they don't care about storytelling. They're just all about the oohs and the ahs and the bah and the blood and the gore. Like, nothing real storytelling about that. And then there was a movie, and Brad told me it's like, okay, just give me one more movie, and I promise I will never show you another scary movie. He showed me The Conjuring, and not only was that movie absolutely terrifying, like Bathsheba jumping off of that wardrobe. Oh my gosh, I told him to pause the movie because I
Yeah.
legit had to check my pants because I thought something bad happened, but luckily nothing happened. But I kind of had this sensation like, this is a pretty cool feeling and all that, getting scared. So I went back in there, and then when the Warrens came into play with the parents and that storytelling, man, that's where I was proven wrong, man. I said, man, I gotta find more of these storytelling. And dude, the horror genre can tell excellent stories when you're looking at the right places.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I'll tell you, I was never a big fan of, like, it took me a long time to kind of warm up to like demon type of movies and those type of horror movies. Like, I've always been, since day one, a slasher type of guy. Like, that's
Mhm.
just been my type of horror. And I remember watching Paranormal Activity, the first couple, I just didn't like them at all. Was not a big fan of them. But I remember watching The Conjuring. That was the one that kind of started it all, to where I started really liking those movies and Insidious and more of the demon type of movies. And one of my favorite movie theater experience was with the Conjuring. Like I still remember that feeling watching that movie in the theater and the goosebumps that I got. And I mean, till this day, it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Man, that movie delivers on all levels.
Oh, dude, man. First off, I'm super jealous you got to see The Conjuring in the theater with a whole crowd and all that. I'm
Yeah.
jealous of that. But luckily, this year, actually, in 2023, this is the 10-year anniversary for The Conjuring. So I am
Mhm.
praying that a movie theater gets to play this on at the theater, like a Regal or AMC, because I
Oh
want to
yeah.
be there and get the Dolby and sound effect and all that, and hopefully a good crowd too. That's why I'm really hoping for, man. But yeah, you're right. Just The Conjuring is, and plus we gotta thank our boy James Wan for this too,
Oh
because he is an
man. Yeah.
excellent storyteller and a great like he knows how to use the camera to make like scares more effective.
Oh yeah, and I think that's important in horror movies, and he does a phenomenal job with that. But yes, man, if you can see The Conjuring in a theater, you definitely have to. It's and I'll if it drops again, obviously I'll go see it in theaters, and that's what I like about what movie theaters are doing, and especially here recently. They're showing a lot of anniversary movies in the theaters, at least the
Mhm.
Regal theaters near me. So I think that was pretty cool. I went and saw Titanic in 3D. I thought that was a really really good experience, one of my favorite movies, and being able to see that on a big screen and hear that score on those Dolby theaters, those Dolby speakers, man, there's nothing like it.
Especially when that guy hits the little fin at the end of the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Ah, ding.
Yep. 100%. And it's funny though because there's this group. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're called like the Myers House or something like that. They have a house in North Carolina that's literally a replica of Michael Myers' original home. Um,
Okay.
but what they've kind of migrated to is they do a lot of like on location movie sets. Like they'll go to where the Conjuring house was filmed and they'll show the Conjuring, and they'll
Mhm.
sell tickets for people to come and go, man. And I remember they did that 2 or 3 years ago, and I wasn't able to go, and I regret it so much because I've it's in North Carolina where they shot that movie and where that house is. So I've been by the house and I've seen it, but they got a gate up, so you can't really go back there and kind of explore the
Hmm.
property. And I just remember missing out on that. And if they ever bring that back, man, it's something that I would ever have to do because I love. If you've never been like on location for one of your favorite movies or shows, it's like you walk you walk like in that area and you just get goosebumps all over your body.
Oh man, dude, absolutely, and I hope you get a chance at redemption in the future on that. Because like when I got like involved in the horror community, I actually learned an hour and 15 minutes away from where I live was the original cabin from The Evil Dead. I had no
Oh
idea that
man.
it was filmed that close to me, and unfortunately, the house burned down. But they are
Uh
guarding the property and all that. Even though, from what I heard, the property owner is such a good person. So if you like let them know in advance and try to build a relationship, you can get on the property. But unfortunately there are those that like to, invade the property and try to take a picture and all that. So man, I was like, God, if I was a horror fan back then, I would have loved to go see the original cabin.
Yeah, man, that's super cool, and it's crazy that I don't know. I just just such a surreal feeling if you ever get a chance to do anything like that. Um, like I remember when I went out to LA, I visited like the original babysitter houses from the Halloween movie, the original 1978, and literally, no lie, 2 streets over is the Nightmare on Elm Street house. So it's
Hmm.
crazy just how close that they are together, and how that area was kind of utilized. But I'm like a huge nerd when it comes to stuff like that, so I just geek out on that, and I'll spend like hours on YouTube just watching like location videos.
Yeah, and I see your Instagram page, and you were visiting some of those spots too. So that's just so freaking awesome that you get
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah, man, it's awesome. So listen, man, I gotta dive into it. I gotta talk Scream 6 because I saw your review. I kind of obviously know how you feel with the YouTube videos that you guys were able to put out, and obviously your letterbox. But I kind of just want to talk about this movie even more because I'll be honest with you, I loved it. And I went and saw it a second time, and I loved it a little more. But I kind of just want you, to anybody that might not know, your feelings on it. How did you feel about Scream 6, man?
Man, I absolutely loved it on first watch. Just because like it gave me like I was just shocked because I had no like expectations of this movie of Scream 6 being better than Scream 5 because I am a huge sucker of Scream 5 too. I love exactly what they did to start building up a brand new
Okay.
trilogy. And I know from your all show, there's not like the previous show at the Scream 6
Yeah.
talk, there are not a lot of fans of Scream 5. And you know what? That is understandable because like us traditional Scream fans, we grew up with the first three, so we had our attachment to it. And like, how dare they try to make another trilogy with our original characters? So trust me, like I get it, but from like a trying to put my mindset into like the newer generation, getting a new generation of fans. I get it, and that's why I love this particular trilogy we're about to get. Hopefully for Scream 7 here soon, with the announcement. But Scream 6, man, I just loved it. The whole New York setting and just us like growing more with the characters, the core four,
The core
gr-
four.
the core four, man, which that's freaking awesome, man. So just I could I could like talk a whole nother hour about like how amazing this movie is. I really could. But you know, it's not perfect. But for me, it was just so perfect to me. I know it's a hype train coming in right now, but just in case if nobody's seen my score, I first watch I gave it a 4.5. But on second watch, you know, like studying the clues and all that, just re-experiencing it, and also seeing it in 4DX2, which that was a fun
Oh
experience.
yeah.
I moved it up to a 5 out of 5. Like I know it doesn't belong there.
Okay.
I know it doesn't belong there because one of my other all-time favorite movies of You're Next, I know it's not a perfect movie, but for me it's perfect, and I give it a 5 out of 5 too. Because we have those movies where like, oh, we know it's not a 5 out of 5, but for us it is. And Scream 6 definitely goes up there at the time. It could
Yeah.
change after a third watch when we get it on Blu-ray or 4K or however we get it. But for right now, it's a 5 out of 5.
I love that, dude, and I'll tell you, love the movies that you love and love it with your heart, man, and stick your chest
Mhm.
out because I'm the same way. We obviously we
Unless if
all
it's Halloween Resurrection, then you can go somewhere else. But
you're not a fan of. No, I'm just joking. I'm not the
no,
biggest fan
I
either.
have one buddy that loves Halloween Resurrection, and I give him so much flack. But you know what? He's also one of the people I respect the most because
Yeah.
he knows how well for him he doesn't know how bad it is. Like he actually praises that movie. He always says it's ahead of its time, which he's right about that. But dude, I give that guy so much respect. Like how you say you love the movies that you love, and I respect the fact that he loves that movie.
Oh yeah, man. I get that. I got friends that love movies that I hate. One of my good friends that I actually met, Kevin, he was on the show last week, and he's a big fan of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. It's his favorite Halloween movie.
No.
It is. It
Me and
is.
Brad are humongous Rob Zombie Halloween defenders, especially the second one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so Kevin's
Okay.
got good taste, man.
I'll tell you, I've grown to really, really like and maybe close to love the first Rob Zombie. Like I've really, really grown up. Especially I talked to Kevin about this and a lot of people about this. After Halloween ends, you know, I can't remember if that was a movie that you really enjoyed or not, but I did not.
Mhm.
Um, and I think after watching that movie, I go back and I rewatch the Rob Zombie films and I appreciate what they were and I appreciate what Rob Zombie did. Although doing something very different, he never really took Michael Myers out of either of those movies. Michael was
Mhm.
always vicious and brutal the way that I feel like he should be. Again, they're still not my favorites, but I go back and I look at them and I still appreciate what was done with those films.
Yeah, man. And you were talking about Halloween ends, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure. But yeah, Halloween. Oh God, me and Brad. This is one of our heated debates we had last year, which I'm pretty sure across the whole horror community too.
It was.
But man, I really like. I respect what they were trying to do, but Halloween Ends should have been the sequel, while Halloween Kills should have been the third and final movie of that David
I
Gordon
agree with
Green
that.
trilogy. And plus, I love the Corey Cunningham character, but I did not like him being put into this movie where like for over 40 plus years, well close to 45 now. I actually
Yeah.
think yeah, it actually is 45.
45.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And we're gonna end everything with Laurie and Michael, where Corey Cunningham was the star of this movie. Like, I that just doesn't sit well for me. But if we did this Howling anthology that John Carpenter wanted to do, like the Corey Cunningham could have been the absolute best Howling anthology we've ever gotten. So I
Yeah.
love the character and the story of Corey Cunningham, but I just don't like him being placed in such a crucial movie, especially this is Jamie Lee Curtis's last Halloween movie, and this is how we do that. Like, I
Yeah.
just wasn't a fan of it, but my buddy Brad absolutely adores that
Oh,
movie.
really? Good for
Yeah,
Brad, man. Good for Brad. I mean, listen, I wish I was like Brad. Like, I wish I walked out of the movie theater loving that movie because I want to go into all of these movies loving them, especially a franchise that's my favorite horror franchise of all time. It just didn't work for me for all of the reasons that you said, which sucks because I think they had something going. I thought the opening was really good. I thought Corey Cunningham's character and the acting by Rohan Campbell was absolutely phenomenal. So
great.
they definitely had a lot to work with here. It's just like they told this story, and then it's like they looked down at their watch, and they were like, "Oh shit, movies runtime's almost over. We got to throw Michael and Laurie in a room real
Exactly.
quick." And it was just that ending just felt rushed and super pointless. But listen, man, I don't know. It's just I remember walking out of that movie and like super depressed because I felt like last year in general, like I thought last year was really good for the horror genre. We
Oh
got like
God,
movies
yeah.
like Pearl, X, Barbarian, movies that I wasn't really
Scream
expecting.
5.
Not a fan, but yeah, Scream
I
5.
I still had to throw it in there.
No, but let's be honest. And I said this with Scream 6. I love it. I know a lot of people, few people on my review didn't love it as much as I did. But I think we can all agree that it's good to see that movie do good because Scream 5 still has very good reviews. A lot of people love that movie. And I'm not, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of it, I'm not upset about it. Like that is amazing for the horror community. Like I think that's phenomenal. We deserve movies that get praise, whether we think they're good or not, because the horror genre just gets shitted on. I mean,
Yeah.
it just does, especially by award shows, and that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that's a conversation.
Yeah,
in
so that's a
itself.
sore subject for us horror fans. Is the good old what we call the Oscars, man. Even though I'm glad Jamie
Uh,
Lee Curtis won her Oscar, even though it wasn't based on a horror movie,
yeah,
but she did thank the horror genre, so I do give her a lot of respect for that. But man, like this is why, honestly, like I'm not sure if you watched this on our channel yet. That's why I honestly created the Real Horror Awards on our channel because I want to give that respect to the horror genre and those performances. I know it's not as big of a deal as the Oscars, nor it ever will, but like I just
shit.
mean like, come on, man. Like I'm at least giving the shout out like to the Mia Goths and all that and those performances. So like it really frustrates me with the Oscars. That's why I wish we had like a horror Oscars out there so we
Yeah.
can really like for the fans like get the vote.
Oh, me too, man. And I'm glad y'all did that. I felt like it had a lot of people engaged. I remember I was super excited for it. I was in front of my TV ready for that show to go live, just like any other award show, man. So y'all did a really good job with that. I know that took a lot of work to
Thank
do,
you.
getting the videos together. And trust me, I know
Dude,
it's hard.
many
Yeah.
sleepless nights, man. Like going to bed at like 3 o'clock in the morning and waking up at 7 and going to work at 8. Like
Oh yeah, because listen,
it's
man,
for
this
2 straight weeks.
I was about to say this was no like cupcake show that was just thrown together. Y'all had a lot of good categories. Y'all had a lot of videos to put together, and then to do it live as well, and like not as a premiere. You got to make sure you hit the right video. You got to make sure you don't fuck this up and this up, and
Mhm.
mistakes are gonna happen here and there. But like y'all did amazing, dude. Like it was a really good show. I can't wait for the second one. Like I'm ready.
Oh yeah.
I'm ready
We're
for
already
that
in work.
already.
Yeah, we're already in work on with the second one. What don't really give away the secret, but you know what? This is awesome. Like the show's great. I love having to talk with you. So, we do have a committee that we're putting
Nice.
together slowly, and then where the committee will put out their like opinions on certain categories, and we'll take the 5 most popular answers, and that's how we'll do our categories. And we're still looking for more people too. So we're excited. We're just excited. We're definitely hard at work for next year's because with how successful this year's was. So I am super ready for next year. Trust me. I wish it was next year already, but trust me, we got a lot more good movies to get through this year.
Yeah, I agree. And real quick, I'll touch on Screen Six. Screen Six, just I loved it as well. Just kind of wrapping up this
Mhm.
conversation. I loved it. I thought it
Which,
was really
spoiler
good.
alert already, it has most of the categories for next year's Real Horror Awards already.
Hey, as it should, man. I thought they hit on a lot of good things.
Mhm.
I think the two things that I sit back and I take away from this movie that were really important for me, and what I really wanted to see was the obvious one: a meaner, darker Ghostface, and we got
Yes.
that. And not only did we get that, I've mentioned this plenty of times as well, but I like the fact that the scenes that Ghostface is in, we actually get to spend a lot of time with Ghostface in those scenes.
Mhm.
It's not like a quick scene where he does a 30-second chase and he's out the back door before he gets caught. Like the bodega scene, the apartment scene, like we get to spend a lot of time with Ghostface on screen. And I just thought they did a really, really good job with that. And the bodega scene was phenomenal. Gail's apartment scene I thought was really good. And then just the cast in general. I told you I wasn't the biggest fan of Five, but I got to give props where it's due, man. That core four cast, to me personally, just like I think they just flipped a switch. They were
Mhm.
phenomenal in this movie. Melissa Barrera was amazing in this
Oh
movie.
my
Like,
god, can we give her an
oh
award right
man,
now?
I would, and I look. I can't believe that's coming out of my mouth. No disrespect to her.
Yeah,
It's just,
especially for next year's or from
yeah.
last year. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, she deserves it because she did a really really good job, and I know I saw an interview with the creators, and they were talking about how they saw that she was taking a lot of heat last year in Scream Five, and um, listen, although I'm not wasn't the biggest fan of her character in Scream Five, those are big shoes to fill. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Those are really big shoes to fill. So, but you know what? We're hard on our people and hard on what we love. I got to give her flowers though. I mean, because she did an amazing job. I have to
Oh,
give
dude,
her credit.
yeah. Oh my god, absolutely, dude. Like Melissa Barrera knocked it out of the park, and I kind of like how they kind of used her real life heat and actually put it in Scream Six. So it's like
Yeah.
we're following the same character, but we weren't really at that particular moment. We were actually looking into Melissa Barrera's real life, like at a certain time too, and that's why I love that table scene more, especially when Tara like went there to comfort her. But I didn't really get a Tara Sam comforting. I got more of a Melissa to Tara, or I'm sorry, to Jenna Ortega,
Oh
because
yeah.
Jenna Ortega is kind of going over the same thing. Not what we necessarily call heat, but she is so freaking popular right now. So I cannot even imagine what she's going through dealing with all the popularity from the fans and the going to shows, going to do this and
Oh
filming
yeah.
this, filming that. Like, is she like is not even? I'm pretty sure she's not even 21 yet, dude. And her future is such there. But I just
So
from a
there.
mindset, I cannot imagine what she's going through as well right now too. How mentally exhausted she is.
Oh, I agree, man. She's got so much stuff on her plate, and I think one of my biggest quote unquote criticisms of Scream 5 was I know how good she is. Like I've been a big fan of
Hmm.
hers for a long time, and she just didn't get a lot of screen time. And again, that's another category they just totally made up for, in my opinion, because her and Tara were great, or her and Sam were great in this movie.
Oh
So
yeah, dude, they were. Yeah, I loved them in this movie, and of course, I love the twins, and twins.
yeah,
Sorry, oh,
yeah,
but like and the twins.
and the
Yeah,
twins.
Mindy and Chad, were phenomenal in this movie too. Yes, I did have my little issue with the term, especially you all use the term a lot on your
Hmm.
all show called the plot armor.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you can't ignore that. No matter if I give it a 5 out of 5, that is one of the major issues in this movie. Like,
I
so
agree.
it's
Yeah,
just yeah, but I still love the
I
Chad
love
character.
it
I
too.
thought he was a
Yeah.
major improvement in this movie as well, and how they're trying to make him and Tara like the Dewey Gale 2.0, which I'm all in for it.
Dude, they work. Their chemistry works right off the bat. Like I feel that. That's
Hmm.
why for me, like as much as I love Chad, if he would have got killed off, which I think they should have done, as much as I love his character, the effect that would have on Tara, the fact that she was just sitting there watching it too, you know what I mean? Like that would have been,
Oh my god,
oh
dude.
man,
And
and
to use that emotion over to 7 would have been a
yeah,
big deal. Kinda like, "Oh, how's
because
Tara dealing with all this after the events of Scream 6?" But,
exactly
yeah,
because
that was a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Because Tara was one of the ones that kind of didn't want to deal with her emotions. She just kind of wanted to move on with her life. And I feel like
Mhm.
if she would have lost Chad, that would have been a whole different story going into 7. But it is what it is. I will say that I love that Chad scene though, because I love seeing the two ghost faces on screen together.
Oh my
That
god,
dude,
yes.
I literally said that is awesome. Like I mumbled that to myself in the movie theater. I thought that was so cool.
Oh, I geeked out at the theater, and just another
Yeah,
thing I just realized, coming from the Scream 5 and 6, I give them respect because they're actually doing things that the Scream franchise has never done before at that point.
I
Like with
agree.
the Scream 5, they did a phone call with Ghostface, not on the phone, but with the whole kind of like Bluetooth thing, and we see
Yeah,
Ghostface on screen talking. We've never had that before. In this movie, we had both of the ghost faces attacking one character and doing the knifing. That's never been done before. So like I do respect this new kind of like Scream. I'll call it a sequel trilogy at this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
So like I really respect what the boys at Radio Silence are doing. I really feel like they are the right ones to handle this franchise.
I agree. I'm very happy with what they done, man. So can't see what they do with 7. All right, man. Before we get into our Rocky Creed film ranking,
Yeah.
I got to touch on this, and whatever you can tell me, I would appreciate, or whatever you can say. I just think it's so cool. Talk to me about the package. I got to
The
know a little bit about the
package. Yeah.
whatever you can say. I know it's early. I know it's super early, but a Halloween 3 fan film, man. I cannot wait to see how this unfolds.
Yes, I'm one of the producers of the package. This is mainly Brad's project. Brad and our buddy Chris, who also does the channel with us, they wrote it together, and they are going to be directing it. And I'm going to be one of the producers. And as we also announced that Braden Timmons from Bad Productions, he's going to be a producer. He's done things of My Special Boy, Friday the 13th fan film. Braden's directed a movie of the Haddonfield Nightmare, which was a great success. He did a great
Oh
job with
yeah.
that. And his also short of Sally. So he's done some great, amazing things. We're happy to have him on. And we're also bringing on Chad Sumner, who also played Jason from My Special Boy. And he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff on all sorts of fan films. So we knew he was the right choice to bring on to being a producer as well. And Chad, I'm throwing you under the bus here. The Halloween Resurrection fan I talked about earlier, it's him. Uh,
Ah,
yeah, so we're excited to have them on. I can't give out any story details yet. Plus, it's not my place to do that.
of
I want
course.
Brad and Chris to do that since they wrote it. But we're super excited for this amazing opportunity. We've been waiting a long time. We wanted to build a community in the fan base where enough people are paying attention to what we're doing. And I know we've done a lot of skits, but this is a whole nother challenge that we're looking forward to taking on. But the most important thing we're going to do is we're going to have fun with everything. Everything is new to us, but we're going to just have so much fun with it. And we're going to make it regardless of how much money we make. But we'll release the Indiegogo campaign stuff later on at a later date. But this is going to happen no matter what.
Can't wait for that, man. I know it's going to be phenomenal. Y'all going to do a great job, and I can't wait to see,
I
what's
just hope I
released.
don't die in it. That's all I'm hoping for. I die in all the skits, but like I
Yeah,
just hope I not even
you
told us
die
like
in
Brad, do I
all
die
of
in
them.
this?
Yeah, you
Yeah, so do
die in
I die
all
in
of
this?
them.
It's like, no, you don't, but we could play a YouTube clip of you dying or something. I'm like, close enough.
That's that's hilarious, dude. I love that. Can't wait for the package. Make sure you're following Good Real Hunting for I guess really all the updates. And yeah, man,
Yes,
can't
and
wait.
we created socials with it as well.
Okay,
So if
cool.
you look up the package, yeah, you could go on our Goodwill Hunting page first, and then there's a link tree link for the post on the package, and that is where you can follow for all the updates for the package.
Awesome. Make sure y'all go do that. Give them a follow. I'll also add the links in the description below. It's time, dude. It's time to dive into our Rocky Creed film rankings. We'll go back and forth until we get up to one. Being you're the guest, I'll let you start off. What is at the bottom of your list?
All right, time to make Brad jealous because this is Brad's baby of a franchise. He absolutely loves this franchise. So once he hears this, like, hey Brad, how you doing? Don't be mad at me. So all right. So what I got here, I'm sorry, look at my list. I got 10 movies because I think we decided that we're going to do Rocky versus Drago as a separate movie.
Yep.
So, okay. So my number 10, I got Rocky 5. Not necessarily a bad movie. I just didn't like how they just tore everything down that was built from Rocky 4 and go back and just kind of like treat Rocky kind of like, oh, he's just back from where he started. Like, come on, Rocky is a lot smarter than that. Like, I feel like everyone is a lot smarter than that. Even Adrian shouldn't have allowed that to happen.
Oh yeah.
But I do like the story though about how him, like again, how we talked earlier on the show about passing the torch, and he was wanting to pass the torch up to the upcoming fighter, and then again he leads up to be a little bit of an asshole and all that. And Rocky has to show them manners and all that in a good old fashioned Philly street fight,
Yeah.
which that scene was awesome, especially hearing Mickey going, "Get up, you son of a bitch!"
Yes. I love that.
Oh god, how does that not get you pumped up, man?
Oh
So
man.
it's not a perfect movie, but I do like the movie enough, but it's not stronger than the other ones.
Yeah, man, I agree with everything that you said. Rocky 5 is comes in at last on my ranking as well. I will say though, it's crazy because I rewatched all these movies before I went and saw Creed 3, obviously, and I did my for the ranking for the show. I kind of made a list on Letterbox so I can kind of just follow that, and I'm looking at the reviews, man, and I think outside of Rocky 5, I think I gave everything at least like a 4 stars or better. Like this to me is
Nice.
such a very well-rounded franchise to be what 8 or to be basically 10 movies in with the Drago fight and Rocky fight, that cut. I mean, they're phenomenal, dude. I mean, they're
Mhm.
absolutely all phenomenal. Like um to have all of those installments, and in my opinion, maybe outside of Rocky 5, and even with Rocky 5, I don't think it's a terrible movie. So I'm not even going to say that. To be that many movies in and not to have a bad movie, like this is a very very successful franchise. It reminds me of, in my opinion, Harry Potter. To have 8 movies, that
Mhm.
many movies, to where, in my opinion, you don't have a bad one. That's just very hard to do, and it's so damn rare.
Oh, dude, absolutely, man. And I'm glad you mentioned Harry Potter. I'm a Harry Potter fan, and that franchise was absolutely. I got to watch The Sorcerer's Stone in theaters when it first
Oh
released. So
man.
I was there from beginning to end, man, and just that
Yeah.
journey is awesome. So I couldn't even imagine people with the journey on from Rocky from beginning to end back in the '80s, or
Oh yeah.
at least for the first one being late '70s.
Yeah, man, I agree. So we both have Rocky 5 at the bottom of our lists. What do you have up next
All
at number
right,
9?
this one pains me because I'm at the point now where everything is a 4 star and up. So
Same.
this is
Yep.
like this really hurts me, man. To put it this low, but just with everything else, my number 9, I have Rocky 3. Just because like I love the story with how Rocky has a big ego and how his ego gets beaten down by Clubber Lang. First
Yeah.
off, love the name of Clubber Lang, Mr. T. He plays that personality so amazing. It's just like Mickey trying to warn Rocky, like, "Hey, you're getting a big ego now. Like you're like I've been like just taking it easy on you. Like, no, he's not just another fighter. Like." You could just tell how much I love the Mickey character.
And
But
rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Mhm.
Hell of a character.
Dude, hell of a character, man. And then, like, when Rocky gets beat down and loses Mickey, he is, like, at the lowest of his lows, man. And then we get an unexpected friendship with freaking Apollo Creed and just him trying to build him back up, trying to find that
Yeah.
eye of the tiger, which is a great real life thing, kind of like real life motivation. Like, if you're down, your low is a low, you have to find that eye of the tiger to keep moving forward, man. And this is what that movie does. The reason I have it this low mainly is just because the last fight, like even though it was a good fight, it just wasn't as memorable. And just the whole third act just kind of went rapid fire. Even though the
Makes
middle
sense.
act is one of the best in the entire franchise.
It really is. It really is. I'm glad you mentioned that. Um good choice, and just like you said, these movies from here on out are 4 stars or higher for me. So these are movies that I'd love and adore. Coming in at number 9 for me, I'm gonna go Rocky 2.
Okay.
And I think one of the biggest reasons that it's so low on my list, I personally just don't like how they made Rocky come across as being dumb. like with the whole commercial type stuff. I'd never, you know, I'd never looked at Rocky and felt like he was a dumb person or couldn't do things. Like I just felt like in Rocky 2 they kind of dumped him down a little bit. But outside of that, I really don't have any major problems with it. I think the second fight between him and Apollo, and obviously Rocky being able to get that W that he wasn't able to get in that first movie, as far as in the win and loss category, we can talk about because even in the first one he won, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But so for coming at me for number 9, it's going to be Rocky 2.
Hell yeah, man. So let's see here. Are we at let's see here. Man, without like Letterboxd having like the Drago Rocky movie being separate, I want to make sure I'm not making a mistake here. So
Yeah,
all
same.
right,
That's what I had to do.
Yeah, okay, so we're at number 8, and my number 8 is Rocky 4, the original one. Talk about like if you need a big boost of Americanism going for your soul, man, you don't call Hulk Hogan, you call freaking Rocky
Yeah.
4, man. And
Oh
Rocky
yeah.
4 is one of the most corny, and I like this kind of direction, them being corny. But man, just what's most memorable about it is Rocky just getting best friend or getting revenge for his best friend of Apollo when Drago freaking
Yeah.
kills him, man. And then Drago goes, "Well, if he dies, he dies."
He dies.
Man, it's just like Drago's just such one of the most brutal like opponents Rocky has ever faced, man. And
Oh
how in the
yeah.
world is Rocky gonna freaking conquer this challenge? And to see it from beginning to end, man, dude, it's such a great journey. Of course, Rocky's speech at the end going, "If I could change, you could change, everybody could change," and
Yes.
all that. It's
Yeah.
just so freaking awesome,
And
man. And of course, we gotta mention the robot, man. Like everybody loves the robot.
what did he wanted a what do you want, a car, right? Is that what he wanted? And he got the
Yes,
robot?
I wanted a car. Like,
Yeah.
what am I supposed to do with this thing? If they later on in the movie, the robot brings him a beer, it's like I like this thing. Like,
Yeah, that's good, man. Number 8, number 8 for me. This pains me to say. I'm gonna go
no.
I'm gonna go Creed 3. I know it's super tough because I love this movie. I gave it a 4 or 4.5, I believe. I gave it a 4-star, man. And listen, I have to. There's a lot we can dive into with Creed 3. I think one of the things that really sticks out to me is just the phenomenal job that Michael B. Jordan did in his directorial debut. To have this movie be anybody's directorial debut is phenomenal in its own right. It's tough in its own right. The fact that you're acting in it and you got to play director as well. I know he had his hands full and it wasn't easy, but I thought that he delivered on all levels. I would say, as much as I love this movie, like I really love seeing the family aspect of the Creed family, and how that developed, and the ups and downs with that. I would say they're not issues, but one thing I wish we would have got more with Creed 3 is more with his daughter.
Yes.
And kind of seeing where that was going to develop, and maybe we do see that down the line, and maybe this was just a setup. But that's something I would like to see explored more, or wanted to see explored more. And then I just felt like the final act was kind of rushed, in my opinion. Like, really all the other Rocky movies and the Creed movies, like I felt like the training montages were a lot more intense. They were a lot more deeper. Is that because Rocky's not in this movie and he's not, I don't know what that is. It just felt very rushed to me. And I know you only have a certain amount of runtime in this movie. It just felt like they cut a lot of stuff out because it did feel so rushed. But I like, one of the things that I really love is we really get to build with Jonathan Majors' character in this movie.
Yeah.
And listen, we all go into these movies being big fans of Adonis, right? And being big Creed fans. And, we want him to win and we want him to be the successor. But I think the writing in this movie and, with the performance of Jonathan Majors, we were going into this fight and even after this fight, feeling for Jonathan Majors' in his character, because I'll tell you, man, as much as I love Adonis and Adonis Creed, like I understood where his character was coming from on the other end. He felt betrayed by Adonis, and I thought that was written so well to where we felt for both characters in the ring, both fighters in the ring. So
Yeah, dude. Man, I don't even know how to freaking top that, man. You nailed everything on all cylinders, man, with that. And I'll go ahead and like do that transition for you as well to continue on with my number 7 is also going to be Creed 3. Big time thing you touched upon is how quick the third act goes. And yeah, it almost went just as quick as Rocky 3 in a way. Kind of like, again, had their similarities and all that too. But what really does it for Creed 3 with me, as you touched upon, the writing, the storytelling was excellent in this movie. Definitely you agree with Jonathan Major's character of Dame. Yeah, you really you understand where he's going through and all that, but it's a good life lesson. That's why your choices matter. Because like if you one choice can get you to where Adonis is, one
yeah,
choice gets you to where Dame or Dom or Dame, not Dom Toretto, but Dame wins,
Dom.
and all that. But yeah, I could really use more of a family relationship storyline, kind of like how you said. Like I wanted more with the daughter. I felt like they kind of at a point they forgot about that whole storyline. They just
Yeah,
ignored it and tossed it aside. But what really gets me, and that's not really a big issue, I was just wasn't as crazy about the fight scenes in this movie.
that's fair.
Just because to me they felt like more cinematic than they did like real, kind of like how like the previous two Creed movies did. But I didn't have a real problem with it, just because again it still looked visually stunning. But I just wasn't a big fan of it. So at my number 7, I have Creed 3.
Did you see that in IMAX?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I did saw it in well, our AMC calls it the Big D,
The
which
Big
bears
D.
oh my god, such an embarrassing name. Uh yeah,
I'm going to the
just
Big
like
D
yeah, I
tonight.
saw a movie in the Big D. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's Brad, that's something proud to say. I'm like, I know, man,
Oh
just let me
man.
have it. So yes, I did see it in the most like the best theater we got. And it again looks visually stunning. It's just
Yeah.
I just wasn't the biggest fan of how they presented it. I don't think that's a Michael B problem. I think that was a studio meddling.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, no, I agree 100%. Uh so coming in, what are we, number 6 now?
I got number
Or number
7.
7? Number 7 for me is gonna be Rocky Balboa. Um Listen, man, I'll just speak on this. I loved his speech to his son. Um like I remember hearing that speech. I think my football coach played that speech when I was in middle school or high school. And I just remember every single one of those words hitting like my heart. And
Mhm.
like, it's such a good speech. His delivery in it is so good. I had, I don't know where it is. I think I got lost when I moved, but I had a big poster of like him standing on the Rocky steps, kind of like the,
Brad had the
um,
exact same poster.
with the quote.
Hmm.
Yeah, I need to reorder that, man. I got to find room for it now, but I'll make room for it cuz that's just one of my favorite scenes. And I just think it's this is I don't want to say it's the best cuz it's not, but it's one of the best as far as storytelling. It's just such a beautiful story. So and let's be honest, coming off of a lot of people not liking Rocky Five and then bringing this back and just calling it Rocky Balboa. It was kind of like, I know a lot of people were nervous, like, oh, what is this going to be? Is this going to be another quote unquote bad installment for some people? And I just thought that they delivered. And I know that honestly, this is compared to others, I feel like very low on my list. I know a lot of people that have this in their top 3. So, and again, you can switch this list up and down, and I'm not, as long as you don't have Rocky Five like first, I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah. Oh man, dude. Love Rocky Balboa. I'll get to that movie here in a second. But at my number 6, this is where I'm going to bring in Rocky versus Drago, the Stallone cut of Rocky 4. I had somewhat good expectations in the movie, but with how they did it and decided to bring it down to that serious tone that's like the other Rocky
Hmm.
movies did. Like, I feel like, okay, like, and I love the corniness in the original of 4. I really do, with the robot and everything. But just to me, it doesn't necessarily scream out Rocky until after the Apollo stuff. So when they got rid of all that and focused more on Apollo Creed and
Hmm.
focused more on like the punching sound effects and all that, and just doing those little cleaning, like just cleaning up the movie, I really had a great time with it. I'm like, now this is a Rocky movie. So, just a short and sweep. My number 6 is Rocky versus Drago.
Very good choice, man. Very good choice. Coming in at number 6 for me is going to be Rocky 3, and I don't think I can say anything better than what you said. Um, I think what really stands out to me is we get it in the first two movies, but I feel like Rocky 3 is where we really, really, really start to fall in love with Apollo Creed and his relationship with Rocky. Again, this is just top-notch storytelling movie after movie, because I feel like I'm saying the storytelling in this movie is great, and then I move on to the next one and say the exact same thing. But it's, man, it's true. Whoever, everybody that put the pen to paper, Sylvester Stallone, I mean, just so freaking phenomenal, man. So for everything that you said with Rocky 3, that's why it's number 6 on my list.
Hell yeah, man. And plus you gotta love the whole like tomorrow. Tomorrow. There is no
Yes, no
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow. Oh man,
Oh
dude, it's
yeah.
so great. Now I just want to watch Rocky 3 right now after this, man. So dadgummit. So let's see here. Uh we're at number 5.
Yes.
Number 5, I'll continue what a movie you said talk about just a couple minutes ago, and that's Rocky Balboa. This movie was my first Rocky movie in the theater. Like, my brother had to, like, kinda, like, tell me the whole story of Rocky and all that, and I just went into Rocky Balboa not knowing anything, man, but, man, I never fell in love with a character, more than Rocky in this movie, man. Just to see him just, again, just, trying to live a peaceful life and all that, and this movie just tackles so many different types of real life story scenarios, kinda like, with the girl. I can't remember the girl's name, but the girl with her son and all that, he wanting to help her in her situation, and then helping his son because his son is that's just Rocky Balboa's kid, and that's just something you never really think about with a kid, son of an athlete,
I think her name's
or
Marie.
or a
Marie.
yeah,
I
Marie,
believe. Yeah.
yes, yeah, and yeah, just dealing like with his son dealing with all that, just taking out all the frustrations, and then this is just where we actually feel sympathetic towards Paulie, for the first time in this franchise, with the loss of Adrian in this movie. That, oh my god, that scene was just so hard to get through. And of course, you already mentioned already the speech that every time I get down in live, I always listen to that speech, and it really just puts me in the mood to do better for myself and to keep, again, like Rocky says, freaking take the punch and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. It
Yep.
really is, man. And then just, of course, the fight too as well. I thought the fight was really, really great
Mhm.
in that movie, just to
It
kind of prove
was.
that legends can even still have one good fight left in them.
I agree, man. That's a hell of a way to explain that, and I'm glad it has that effect on you as well, because it's truly a special movie. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm so just a little pause. Side note: congratulations to your Kansas City Chiefs, by the way.
Oh my god! I was
Um,
like, I wonder if you were going to bring it up.
I am, because I'm going to talk about Philly here in a second, and I was like, I just can't ignore the fact. So congratulations to your Chiefs. It was a very great game, tough game to watch for me, but
Dude, thank you so much,
um,
and I appreciate you for like, because there are a lot of Eagles fans out there like, oh, that wasn't a holding call and all that, and there's you going,
no, you
hey,
don't do that.
congratulations, that was a great Super Bowl. Chiefs won. We still had a great year, dude. So I respect the hell out of you
Thanks, man.
for taking that. Like, I would have done the same thing. Like, if my Chiefs would have lost, I'd say, guys, great game and all that too. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. And yeah, it's just awesome, man. Hopefully we get a rematch next year.
Hopefully, man. It was a good game. I hear a lot of
We
people.
do meet in the regular season, though.
We do. I wonder if that's going to be the game to kick it off or not. But
Ooh.
I will say that you can't let Patrick Mahomes have the ball last. It's just not gonna.
Never.
It's just not gonna end well. I was just super happy to see Jalen have a good game. Um, super happy to see that. But so I was gonna say that. So I'm about 4 hours from Philly, so I would at least a couple times a year I'll go up to an Eagles game and kind of hang out in the city and stuff like that. So I've been to the Rocky Steps, saw the statue. And one year I did the filming location, so I went to Rocky's first apartment he ever lived in the first film. Very sketchy area, but I went there. That was pretty cool to see. It's still got the 1818 um, address numbers painted on the wall, so that was pretty cool. But there's a cemetery where Rocky goes to where he sees Adrian, like so so obviously the headstones aren't real, but if you go to the cemetery up there, they have the headstones off to the side when you first go in. They have Adrian's and Paulie's, like for people to take pictures with or whatever, which I think is very weird if you're going to the cemetery. But then again, I'm the guy who went and saw that, so I guess I'm weird. I just thought that was super cool that they still kept that around. Just a little side note because you brought up Adrian's death, that they still have those headstones in whatever cemetery that scene was filmed.
God, that's so cool, man.
It
Like
is.
again, it is a little weird, but at the same time, if you're a Rocky fan, that's just so cool. And how Philly just embraces such a fictional character, man. Like they
Oh
treat him
man.
like he was a real person, which
Oh
that's
yeah.
so cool. I love when movies can do that, man.
Me too. Okay, coming in at number 5 on my list is gonna be Rocky 4. I feel like to me this is probably the most rewatchable ones for me personally. I just think it's such a because you kind of explained it right. You kind of get the corniness with it, you get the seriousness with it, and then you get the fights, obviously the fight scenes with it. You kind of get everything just in this one movie. So I feel like it is probably the most rewatchable movie, especially for me. And for everything that you said, man, it's one of my favorites. So the regular original Rocky 4 comes in at number 5 for me.
Hell yeah, man. And you brought up a great thing with it too. I forgot to touch base upon it. Definitely Rocky 4, the original, is definitely one of the most rewatchable Rocky movies in the franchise. So I absolutely agree with that. And plus that fight is just at the end,
Yeah,
like epic legendary.
it is.
So my number 4 is here. Let's see here. It's going to be Creed 2. Unfortunately, I had a bad theater experience with this movie. It was me and my brother and another couple. That's it. And that couple decided to want to do a live commentary for a drama thriller movie. Not the best idea to do commentary.
Not at
But when I
all.
got no, God, my brother was so mad. But that's just sorry, a side note. But when I did get to watch this movie by myself on a rewatch, absolutely loved this movie. Because again, this is kind of like combining Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 had like a love
Oh yeah.
child. It's Creed
Hmm.
2. Um kind of like again, we're at the top of Creed's life and everything's going great, and then the past comes back to haunt him, and then brings him down to his low at the low, just to build him up to like bring him up to the Adonis we know in the third movie, man. And just the score of this movie, great. The fight scenes, absolutely great. It's just great too from a nostalgia point of view of having Stallone and freaking or Rocky and Drago back on the same screen again, just
Yeah.
raising the new generation of fighters, man. Just so damn special. And plus, we get a great story with the Rocky character, too. I thought we wrote off Rocky perfectly in Creed 2. So that's why I'm not upset about him not being back in Creed 3.
Yeah.
And honestly, kind of like with Nev Campbell and Sidney Prescott, I don't need them to come back. I thought we established new characters that we could get behind to carry the franchise forward. So my number 4 is Creed 2.
Really good pick, man. And I just got to piggyback off of what you said because Creed 2 is my number 4 as well. For all the reasons that you said, I love seeing Adonis kind of take his next step in his life, obviously. And then with him and Bianca's relationship, her getting pregnant and, them navigating through that and how Adonis is going to react to, defeat, real bad defeat to the hands of, somebody, who the son of somebody who killed his father. So I thought that he rebounded really well. I thought it was a beautifully told story. And again, their relationship with Rocky's relationship with Adonis, I think, really shines in this movie as well. It does in both films. But yeah, I love Creed 3. I think it's amazing. I think it's um I don't know. It's kind of it's pretty heartwarming. So yeah, I'm gonna go Creed 2 number 4.
Yeah, dude, and I'm glad you. God, I feel such an idiot for even forgetting to bring up Adonis and Tessa Thompson.
I love her character so
Yeah, dude.
much.
Yeah, dude, and their dynamic on screen is so awesome, so
Oh
great.
yeah.
Especially in Creed 3, they stole the show, man. In
Oh,
my
you
opinion.
remember that argument down in the
Oh my god,
basement?
dude,
Oh
so
man,
freaking good.
it is.
Oh man.
It is.
So I'm glad you brought that up. But let's continue talking about Creed because my number three is the original Creed. Because when I first saw the trailer, I was like, okay, this is just going to be your typical like fight movie. Okay, cool, Michael B. Jordan. If it when freaking Stallone came on screen, I'm like, they are not gonna do a Rocky spinoff movie or whatever. So I was extremely nervous. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be what I think it is. I was blown away. I absolutely loved everything about this movie of the original Creed because we're getting a brand new character of Apollo Creed's son, which again, we all love Apollo Creed and we want like again, like you said, at the end of four, we really like love the Apollo Creed character just to kind of get like a part of him on the big screen again with Adonis and plus Michael
Yeah.
B. Jordan, perfect casting choice on that one. And and then this is where Rocky was getting sick and he was losing kind of like his eye of the tiger at this stage of his
Yep.
life. And Adonis like, no, no, no. Like, if I'm fighting mine, we're going to find yours too. And just them bonding throughout this whole entire movie was freaking excellent, man. And also the score of this movie, one of the
Yeah.
best scores in the entire franchise as well. Love this movie. I could definitely watch this movie a lot. So my number three is the original Creed.
Great choice, man. I'll jump to Creed here, the original here in a second, but coming in at number 3 for me is going to be Rocky versus Drago. And I think for everything that you said, I feel like as much as the rewatchability for um, Rocky 4 is there, and you kind of get all the theatrics with that movie. I and you'll see with my next two films, I just always enjoyed that grit to the Rocky films. And I'm not saying that Rocky 4 didn't have that because it did, but I just felt like with Drago versus Rocky, I just feel like you touch on, like you said, like the sounds of the hits and stuff like that, and stuff that really stick out. So, and you focus more on Apollo, which I thought was really, really done well. So coming in at number 3 for me is going to be Rocky versus Drago.
Hell yeah, man! And yeah, God, now I want to rewatch that movie too.
Yeah, I
I
know.
want to, I want to rewatch all these now. Think of it. Like I
I
got a
know.
lot on my plate when it comes to terms of watching movies, but man, after all that is said, then I'm going to go back to the Rocky franchise. Uh,
Are you like a collector, like DVD wise at all?
I used to be. Then
Okay.
I gave all my collection away so I could take my mom on a vacation, which I do not
Oh
regret that
man,
at
not
all.
at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
dude,
awesome,
don't
dude.
regret it at all. Great vacation, but I'm slowly trying to build it back. Build it back. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
it's take it back.
take
Take
it
it
back.
back. But no,
uh,
I'm collecting more horror movies now. But I'm just slowly building. I'm in no rush because my digital
yeah.
collection is really up there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I'm kind of like getting into it. Like I'm collecting like VHSs now, which
Oh, nice.
I really love and enjoy that, being able to like go to thrift stores and find gems. Like that's really really cool for me. And as far as DVDs, the only thing DVD wise that I buy anymore, they are for I only buy 4K steelbooks because
Nice.
I just love the way the steelbooks look. But I said that because over the next few weeks, and it started in February, I think they're releasing every Rocky movie in 4K on Steelbook. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to collect those and have all those and get my Rocky collection together. So super excited for that.
Oh hell yeah, man! Do you have any of the Rocky movies on VHS?
No, that is I cannot find that anywhere.
All
I'm
right.
sure, but see,
I'm gonna write it down because I
okay.
have a VHS store in my hometown, and I see a Rocky collection at least most of the time. So
Oh, really?
if I see him, I'm going to get him for you.
Oh, dude, I love that, man. I appreciate that. Like like the easy way to do it is you could go on eBay and buy it, but I'm a guy who likes to go out and find it, or if a friend sends it to me. Like I've had my friend Kevin, I could never find the original Halloween VHS tape, and I just happened to get home one day, and I got this bad baby sitting right on my doorstep, and
Nice.
I'm like, oh man, nice. So yeah, man, that's awesome. I appreciate you so much for that.
No, absolutely. Next time I go, I'm gonna put that in my mind, make a note of it. So because you gotta have him,
I
man.
know.
Like freaking
Yeah.
Rocky, man.
Thank you, dude.
Uh, so okay. This is where I'll possibly be losing most of my fans.
Oh, here
uh,
we go.
yeah, I'm losing most of my fans to this. So if you've been listening this long, thank you so much for putting up with me, and I don't blame you for walking away after this. My number two is Rocky. And here's why, okay? I prefer Rocky over like when it comes to best movie in the franchise. This is obviously it. But this is kind of like just what it does for me. Okay. So my number two is the original Rocky. I absolutely love the story between him and Adrian. And one of my good buddies who's a big Rocky fan, he says it best. This is not a boxing movie. This is a romance movie and
Yeah.
with just boxing in it, and kind of like a story of like taking this character who just has a positivity on life, even though he's not in a positive situation. And all he wants is one chance to make something of himself. And just to see it from beginning to end, earning that one chance in Apollo and that fight, really damn good, man. So just a great story. Also give us just one of the absolute best characters in cinema history with Rocky Balboa. The
Oh yeah.
score is absolutely phenomenal. Just the way they shot this movie was phenomenal. Can't say enough nice or any nice things about this movie. Can't say any more. I respect the hell out of this movie, so it pains me to put it at number two. But I'm about to explain my number one for why my number one it is. So my number two is Rocky.
That's interesting, man. I can't wait to see, your explanation for one. But I listen, man. I get that. I totally understand. Number two for me is going to be the original Creed. I remember seeing the trailer for this or hearing about it, and I was like, man, I'm not interested in this at all. And then I think you kind of pointed it out in the trailer when Rocky pops up on screen. Like I still remember seeing him, and like the first thing he says, like he pops up in his restaurant, and he's like, "How do you know all this?" Like, man, that just gave me goosebumps, and I was like, they cannot drop the ball on this, and they didn't. I thought they delivered such a great story. I think it reminds me a lot of the old Rocky films as far as the grit in this movie. The training in this movie I thought is top notch. I think it's my favorite out of all of them, if I'm being quite honest. Just being able to see Rocky kind of sit there, read the newspaper while Michael B. Jordan is just jump roping, and the timer stops, and he's like, just because the timer stopped doesn't mean that you stop. It's just done so well. And then you touched on it too. Their relationship is phenomenal. I think one of the cool things that I think really sticks out is how much Adonis loves Rocky. And you can tell like when he gets sick or they're in the hospital together, he's willing to stay there all night with him. Rocky just wants to leave, and Adonis only cares about Rocky's health and is there for Rocky. And we see how upset he gets when Rocky doesn't want to go through chemotherapy. And this, for me personally, is the best Rocky has ever been, in my opinion. The fact that this man got snubbed of an Oscar really pisses me off because he deserved one in this movie so much. Like, I get teary-eyed when he's sitting there talking to Michael B. Jordan when they're in the locker room of the gym, and he's talking about what Adrian went through, and he promised himself he would never put himself through that. If it's his time to go, his time to go. Man, that performance, that scene alone, he deserved an Oscar, and I will just one of the small reasons I have with the Oscar committee.
Dude, You just pulled on my heartstrings on that one, man. Because you're absolutely freaking right. Stallone should have won an Oscar for that performance because he was absolutely phenomenal. And I want to touch upon what you said, kind of like the relationship between Adonis and Rocky and Creed. I feel the reason why it's just that damn strong. It's not really a friendship. It's like really Adonis having a father figure in his life.
Oh
In
yeah,
fact, Rocky
good way to
was
put
the
that.
closest thing to a father that he can get because he didn't know Apollo and all that. And only Rocky was the only person that truly knew Apollo. And just when he gets that knowledge about Apollo, but at the same time, he was also getting a father figure and or for Rocky as well. So great. I wanted to touch upon that because that was a great point.
Yeah, man, that's a really great way to point that out as far as that father son relationship, because you sit back and you think that's exactly what it is. So
Mhm.
really, really good choice or decision or point, I should say. But also another good point that I want to touch on real quick is the score in this movie is freaking awesome as well. So I
Mhm.
know you pointed that out. So I definitely agree with that.
Dude, absolutely. I love the score to the to Creed, man. It's just so damn good.
Oh yeah.
Especially that montage, like of him running in the streets of Philly and all that, and that music, that freaking score just bangs at you with the
Uh,
motorcycles.
well, what's funny about that is the artist who's singing that. His name is Meek Mill. He's from Philly, and
Oh,
when you're in Philly, they actually like if you go to that. Like I've been to the Front Street Gym where that movie is shot, and they really like that's the thing up there. They ride dirt bikes and four wheelers in the street, so they really embody that culture up there as well, which I thought was really cool.
dude, that's so freaking cool. Again, just how a fictional character can just put a whole like mood and
Crazy,
atmosphere to your whole city. So
it's
that's
crazy.
just freaking awesome, man. But all right, I got some explaining to
Here we
do
go.
with my
Here we
number
go.
one. So I was heartbroken when you had this particular movie towards the bottom three of your list,
I know
but
you
it's
were.
my number one. So my number one is Rocky 2. And here's why. Again, I acknowledge the original Rocky is better than Rocky 2. No doubt about it. One of the great movies of all time, the original Rocky. But I am a sucker for sequels that do their job as a sequel, where it's double everything. And I feel like Rocky 2 delivers double and everything. Double the score. The fight at the very end is my favorite fight in the entire franchise. I love it so much. The story is doubled. I love the whole story how Rocky is new to all this stardom, where he just pretty much just wants to be himself. And then just the whole story with Adrian and all that, he just doesn't want to fight without her. And then when she says, "I want you to do something for me, Rocky," win. And then Mickey getting all excited,
Yeah.
what are we waiting for? And
So
all that.
I was just gonna say, they play that right before the Eagles players comes out at the games.
Oh,
Um,
win.
yeah, they play that
Oh,
scene, and then the Rocky music hits, and it gives you goosebumps every single time.
oh, dude, I'm already
Yeah,
getting the chill
yeah,
bumps right now. Like,
yeah, man. That's the way you explained it what gave me goosebumps. So
oh, dude, man, it's or freaking chill buzz, however you want to call it, man. It was awesome, and plus Apollo Creed is definitely more in this one than he was in the first movie. Just saying, just I get his whole mindset of like, yeah, I beat him, but I didn't beat him, and just getting that again, developing this whole
yeah.
big story on this rematch, man. It's just so like I love it, man. Plus the montage is freaking epic as hell. I love everything about this movie, so that's why I have it at number one. Just because just it does more for me personally than it does with the original movie. Again, I still acknowledge the original is the best in the franchise, but for me and my number one, it's Rocky 2.
Well, I love that for you, man. I'm glad that you stood your ground on that, and will stand your ground on that. I love
I
that.
ain't going down no more.
I love that. And obviously number one for me is the original Rocky. And you kind of touched on everything, man. It's just I remember watching that movie for the first time, and it's just man, the what he had to go through and all of that, man. It's just on another level. And then his relationship with Adrian, being able to see where they started and where that ended up was so beautiful in itself. Again, just starts off from great storytelling, and we haven't really got bad storytelling since, man. So that's my number one. OG
Hell yeah.
Rocky.
And again, I do not blame you. And I know Brad is already throwing stuff in his household right now because Rocky is one of his all-time movie, like top 5 movies of all time. So I know I'm probably going to get earful after he hears this.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you so much for spending almost an hour and a half with me on this podcast. It was so fun. The conversation was phenomenal. I'm glad we got to touch on a lot of the things we got to touch on, and hope to have you back soon, man.
Dude, hey, I am always available for whatever you want to hang out again. Absolutely. I could go for another hour and a half, but I know we got things to do today. So I appreciate you reaching out to me and wanting me to come on your show. Again, I've been a big fan of yours since I found it with the Take One podcast. I think you're doing a phenomenal job. So please keep up the great work. Your professionalism is inspiring for me wanting to be more professional myself. So you're doing great. And thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Appreciate those words. All right, before we get out of here, where can everybody follow you and Good Real Hunting at?
All right, where they can follow us, we have a Patreon, we have YouTube memberships, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterbox. We don't use, like, me and Brad have our own Letterbox accounts, but we have pretty much everything set up in the link tree. So if you go to Instagram and go to our main page and click on the link, that's our link tree, and that is where all like kind of like our socials are going to be at. And I'm sure you'll put them in the comment section down below too. I'll be sure to send that to you. But yeah, we're pretty easy to find. Pretty much if you just type in Good Real Hunting and you skip all the hunting and fishing parts, you get to us eventually, man. So that's where you can find us.
I love that. Make sure y'all give Brettman and the entire Good Real Hunting team a follow over on all the socials. And again, I'll post those in the comments below. Appreciate everybody tuning in to episode 42. Brettman, appreciate you, man. And I'll see everybody on the next episode.
See you guys.